Hey everyone, this is Gary Kayye. Thanks for joining us today for this special Launch and Learn. This is really cool because we don't get a chance to introduce a brand new product that no one has really seen yet. It was sort of like secretly debuted within their own channel. And what I mean by there, or its, is Newline. I'm joined with Chris Bradford, president of Newline. Chris, how are you doing?
Doing great, Gary. Doing great.
Glad to be here. Hey, I'm excited. Well, first off, I appreciate you being here because we weren't sure we were going to be able to pull this off. It had nothing to do with technical issues. It has to do with power. What's going on down there in Texas with power? I keep reading about it on the news, so fill us in a little bit.
Well, there's been maybe a small shortage of power in the state of Texas for the last few days. Getting better over the last 12 hours. But yeah, 24 hours ago, this was heavily in doubt. So we appreciate you guys hanging in there with us. Should be fine on the power front. It's an unusual thing to have to worry about, but yeah, we've had a few issues the last couple of days, but hopefully all's well now.
Well, we have a backup plan. We never go without a backup plan, and I can tell you that the people in the booth are trying to tell me to stop moving around so much. I'll do my best. We have a backup plan in case your power goes down. We have your office in California ready to pop in and finish this. But we are literally live right now on LinkedIn. We're also inside the launch platform for a Launch and Learn. We're going to debut a brand new product. So let's first set this up. Back in 2020, now this is before, quite honestly, this is, I would love to be able to take credit for this, to having some sort of foresight, but I didn't know that COVID was going to happen. But in my crystal ball, I wrote this little thing saying that I thought that 2020 would bring us personal conferencing systems. And what I meant by that was we have these Zoom rooms and Teams rooms, and we have these UCC platforms that are awesome as room-based systems, and they're awesome as application-based systems on a laptop. But I felt like that having a purpose-built appliance would be really hot, and I thought that this would be the year. I thought 2020, last year, would be the year for those. And D10, a company called D10 came out with a product called Me, which I really liked. But it was the only hook that I didn't like about it was it's only Zoom. So if you're a Zoom company, great. If you're not a Zoom company and you have to ever make a call on another platform. So I felt like that even though that product started to get there, I felt like that the market was going to be hot for a personal UCC appliance, meaning it didn't require you kept the real estate of your monitor on your laptop that you had at home, and it didn't require you to have extra equipment. And here we go. You're launching it today in the Launch and Learn. It's called Flex. We all know the application for this, but why don't you, before telling me about the products, about the product itself, because you have one sitting there, Chris, tell me about what you were thinking about the application for this would be. I'm sure you didn't read my article and come up with the idea. I'm sure you already had this planned.
Well, of course, first, we do read your articles the minute they hit the web, and we internalize them, and we preach around the office to make sure everybody can regurgitate this stuff by chapter and verse. Half joking there. But no, in reality, this was heavily in response to the pandemic. Early last year, as everything shut down, we knew the challenges we were facing as a company, and our customers were being very loud and clear with new challenges they'd never, experienced to some degree, but never nearly as acutely as now. Yep. And we saw a need and said, look, let's get after it, and started developing what became Flex. So it is purely in response to the pandemic-led challenges that we're all living through, whether that's working from home, learning from home, not knowing if we're going to be home on Tuesday, back at the office on Thursday, or where the kids are going to be. There's just new challenges that we're all faced with, and Flex was designed. It was, as you say, purpose-built to address those concerns as best we were able.
So yeah, and it basically is a purpose-built appliance. It is a UCC appliance that is supposed to give you the ability to have the real estate for your computer be used for computing, and you still have Flex there, but also adds all the interactive functionality that a lot of computers don't have. For example, if you're using a Mac, you don't have the interactivity of touch and things like that you would normally have in a UCC environment. And we all know that touching things is a lot quicker when you're trying to annotate something or trying to make a point. Dragging and dropping things when you're trying to pull them into a meeting is a lot easier than clicking and making sure you hit the right buttons. So it's called Flex for a reason, though. So let's talk about the product specifically. It's called Flex, I think, I'm going to guess, because it's not just a Zoom appliance. It's a Teams appliance, it's a Zoom appliance, it's a Blue Jeans appliance, a Meet appliance, it is a Pexa, whatever you want it to be, it can be, and it sits next to your laptop, kind of like what you have there. You can use it as an extension to your desktop, but it gives you the ability to have a dedicated UCC appliance. So talk about the product.
You bet, Gary. So really, yeah, the Flex, we think it kind of comes from a couple of different areas. The first we sort of mentioned a minute ago. Boy, sure, I need something flexible because I don't know, am I in the office today or am I home tomorrow? And where am I going to be 2 weeks from now? I don't really know. So boy, I sure wish I had a product that was flexible enough to move with me in places that I might not know where I'm going to be in tomorrow or in 2 weeks. The second piece of it, you're exactly right. I think, the rhetorical question we ask is, hey, everybody raise your hand if you only have used one UC soft client, one. So whether it's Teams or Zoom or pick your favorite in the last 4 weeks. I didn't see any hands go up, right? Because even if, let's say my company has standardized on Zoom, great platform, I have to interface with suppliers. I have to interface with customers that have standardized on something else. Right. So the reality we believe is you can't just pick one. Well, you can pick one horse for your own company, but we're all interconnected and everybody didn't pick the same horse. So Newline's always been built off of non-proprietary architecture, right? We've never thought it's our place to come into your university, your school, your business and say, hey guys, we're pretty smart about this. We know what we're doing and here's what you need to go do because we're just so dang smart. We think that's a little backwards. We think it's our job to provide a non-proprietary platform to let you do what you think you should do. Gary, you guys love Zoom. We love Zoom too. We use Teams all day as well. And then a whole host of other platforms as well. So that kind of non-proprietary heritage, really, I guess product heritage, you'd say, is a key part of Flex. As you say, we in a good way don't care which UC platform you use at 9 o'clock or 11 o'clock or next Tuesday. We think that's your business. So that really is how it came to be.
And let's back up a second and talk about Newline. And before we do that, we should let you know about the platform. So if you take a look at the screen to the right of our video screen here, you'll see a Q&A section. You can literally, we're live. It is actually live. With the East Coast, it is 11:37. My company makes fun of me for doing this every time we do a live event because there's all these fake live events out there. We're live. It's 11:37 on the East Coast, 10:37 in Dallas where you are. And we're coming to you live on the LAVNCH platform. If you look to the right here, over here and to the right of the window here, you'll see that you can ask questions of us live. Give us your feedback. Let us know what you think. But also, if you look down below, there's polling. We want you to answer those poll questions because we want your opinion about the product. We want your opinion about the technology and about this concept of personal conferencing products. And then also, Amanda Rhodes is on live from Newline. She is actually handling all of the communication from Newline directly. She's actually there. She's a technical. She can answer any questions you might have directly from the brand. She is a verified user of networking. So if you look below the polling, you'll see networking. You can talk to the different people that are here on today, but also you can just stay in the all attendees section and you can enjoy messaging each other and talking about it. Challenge. We want to be challenged. If you don't believe in this product, you don't think this is a good technology, give Chris a chance to change your mind because Chris got a lot of experience with interactivity. Newline, if you did not know, Newline has really built a heck of a brand especially education interactivity. So if you go into schools, there's a ton of interactive products there. Corporate interactivity, you started getting to that segment of the market in the last few years with interactive boards of all different sizes. And I'll kind of let you give a review really quickly of what Newline does and what your expertise has been, Chris.
You bet, Gary. Very correct. I think we're a little more known on the education side, whether that's the K-12 side or higher ed. We're working to not take away from that, but make sure we're well represented on the corporate side as well, across really all verticals. So when we're out talking to customers or we're out talking to reselling partners, really our question is, hey, who do you guys work with? Well, anybody that meets is a customer of Newline. And yes, K-12 teachers meet with students. Well, corporate folks meet with other corporate folks. So really, when we make a non-proprietary product, we really kind of keep coming back to this architecture a lot. We end up in all major verticals. So very true. We have a larger presence in the K-12 education space. We're one of the top few guys there, size-wise, market share-wise. But a really nice presence in corporate as well, and heavily investing in that. So ideally, our business will be 50% corporate and 50% education. A little heavier education right now, but absolutely invested in that corporate market space. So a lot of our reselling partners are SCN Top 50, AV integrators, folks that are Gary K disciples, are many of our reselling partners out in the market.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say disciples, but I definitely enjoy. I'm a tech geek, and I love the products. I love the technology. I love understanding how it works. And I tell you, the idea of personal conferencing is a big win for me. And I'm gonna tell you why I think this is going to be a hot product. Now, we have already had a question come in from Kevin Jimmy. I'm going to lean over here, and it's not a perfect system here. I've got to be able to read these questions as they come in. It would be anti-IT if we just use one of the he's making a comment actually. It would be anti-IT if we use just one of the platforms. The fact of the matter is you have to be able to use all the different platforms. And it's interesting. If you look at the data says that Microsoft Teams users, if you took all the Microsoft Teams users, 50% approximately of Microsoft Teams users are using Zoom for video. So you can't just assume that somebody, just because they're on Teams, is going to use Teams for video. In a lot of cases, like you said, you're going to have clients that are going to, you may be a Zoom company, like our agency is a Zoom company, but we have clients that want to meet on Teams and Blue Jeans and other platforms, and so we have to be able to accommodate them. So here's why I think the product's going to be hot, okay? And I want you to show them the product because you have one sitting there. This is why I think the product's going to be hot. I think if you think about the idea of a dedicated appliance doing a one application thing, I think that's going to be very popular. Now, I would not say that for everything, right? I mean, I think the smartphone being a smartphone is a great idea because it's a smartphone, right? It's dedicated. Yes, you can make phone calls on an iPad. You can make phone calls on your computer. But when you want to make a call really quickly, you're going to use your phone. When you want to text somebody really quickly, you're going to use your phone. So it's a dedicated appliance that also is a miniature computer. Like that, the Flex is exactly the same thing. You can still use your computer to make Teams and Zoom calls. You can still use it exactly the way you've been using it. But here's a product that you can use as an extended desktop for your computer, that whenever you get on a Teams call, a Zoom call, a Pexa call, a Meets call, all of a sudden you still have all your computer real estate, and you get the ability to have a dedicated appliance that turns your meeting into an interactive meeting. And what I mean by interactive is all the interactivity you get touch-wise with a collaboration display in a room, you all of a sudden have on your desktop, including a separate camera. And the nice thing about that is that because the camera is separate, you are significantly exceeding the quality of the cameras built into laptops and tablets and phones and things like that nowadays, and the front-facing cameras. So I think that is a key factor. So the camera sits right on top of the Flex, and all of a sudden you get a higher quality experience. So let's talk about the technology. Let's talk about the product really quickly. Tell me about some of the features. You're seeing some images of it right now. Love how it has this sort of easel effect to it. It's going to make it more sturdy when it's sitting on a desktop. But I like how you put it behind your monitor, your laptop monitor. Here's your controls there in the corner of the screen. And I like how you have it behind your monitor there, Chris, because I think that's a pretty common application of how people are going to use it to kind of expand their desktop right in front of their face. So I'm going to turn it over to you and let you talk about it and kind of show the product.
Sure, absolutely, Gary. So really the first feature, so when Newline brings a product out, we're trying to do two things. We already talked the non-proprietary piece and kind of why that we think is just critical before we ever start for the reasons you just mentioned. The second piece, though, right behind that is ease of use, right? If this thing's too hard to use, too hard to connect up to what you already have, that's another place where we got a problem. So really the first place to talk about this is, okay, this is my laptop. This is what I've been issued from my IT department. We've got 50,000 of these around our enterprise, let's say, or our university. They've got all the security, all the network protocol, everything that makes us comfortable that this is a good laptop to use in our network. How do I connect this to my Flex? That's the first big question, right? Well, okay, a USB-C, and we're done. So it's that simple.
USB-C handles the mic, the speaker, and the camera.
Yes, and one better, you'll also note there's no power cable to my laptop. It's charging. It's providing 60 watts of charging power as well. So it truly, when you talk of decluttering your desk, you have decluttered your desk, right? I have a power supply from Flex into the wall, and I have a USB-C connecting my laptop to Flex, and that's it. There are no additional power supplies. There's no additional cables. I don't have to remember, okay, where do I plug this or what do I do with that? It's really the same reason UC was coming to be into the conference room space, right? Everybody was putting stuff together and kind of making do. But how many times were USBs unplugged or things were muted when they shouldn't be, and all the challenges we've all lived through that drove the need for a UC market to even happen? Well, Same thing on the desktop, right? There hasn't been this to date. So folks are kind of smacking stuff together, right? And trying to plug it in, and it works sometimes and it's a little challenging other times. So really the first feature is painful ease of use to connect up your laptop to Flex. USB-C and you're done.
Painful ease of use.
I know it may be a little oxymoronic, but yeah, we wanted it to be crazy easy to use. Now, having said that, before we go on to talk about
there you go.
Oh, sorry, Gary. Go ahead.
I was just making the point, frictionless.
No, absolutely. Because no matter how cool this is, if folks don't think it's frictionless and it's not, they're not going to use it. I mean, that's the piece, right? Where we talk non-proprietary and ease of use, we talk that because if we don't get those right, no matter how cool the features are, it doesn't matter much because people aren't going to really use those products, right? So ease of use is critical. So USB-C connectivity is great. Now, one thing to note, if you don't have the latest computer, hey, my IT department hasn't given me one in 18 months, so I don't have a full-featured USB-C, or heck, I might not have a USB-C at all. No problem. Flex also supports HDMI and traditional USB 2.0. So no matter how old your laptop is, we got you covered. Now, a couple of cables are going to be needed there. And of course, you couldn't charge your laptop without USB-C because that's a capability USB-C brings to the party. But just so you know, the newest, most capable laptops, yes, USB-C, away I go. Little older laptop, HDMI, USB 2.0, good to go. You're going to get the same feature set helping you out. Just one more cable on your desktop. Okay, so connectivity is critical.
Yeah. Okay, that's you've really simplified it from a connectivity standpoint. There are some questions specific around the gear itself.
Sure.
Daniel, the first question I know is from Mark Hackett. Is the mic an array? Is it a mic array, or is it a single directional mic? And why a mechanical tilt camera as opposed to an auto frame digital PTZ? So first, is the mic a mic array?
You bet. Great question. The answer is yes. So 8-element mic array, omnidirectional with echo canceling right across the top. So yes, it is a microphone array. All parts of the UC of this product, the speakers, the camera, and the microphone are really quite high end. So you're going to get a high end experience out of all three parts of the UC. But on the microphone side, the one word answer is yes. And then following that, 8-element from there. Okay,
and the second part of that question was, why a mechanical tilt camera as opposed to an auto frame digital PTZ camera?
You bet. Another great question. So really what drove that is the other mechanical design of Flex, which I haven't shown you yet, but Gary, you mentioned it. We have a kickstand design, keeping us at 10 degrees, a very nice angle for us to view it at when we're sitting there. Well, we've talked about, we haven't got to it yet, but an active pen that we can annotate on top of content, right? So when I'm doing that, writing at 10 degrees could be favorable to me, or I could want to kick back my Flex at an angle, okay? And write, if I'm writing something very precise, where I can literally rest my hand on the screen. Well, when you're leaning Flex back, you can't get enough change of angle to handle that much delta. So really, you can see this camera can literally go 90 degrees down, or we're back up, facing wherever your head is in relation to Flex. The camera's going to be able to pick that up. So really, the mechanical design of Flex being able to lean back so far is what drove the need for a mechanically adjusted camera as opposed to electronic PTZ.
Okay.
And then we're talking camera, 4K, yes, 120 degree field of view, so very wide. And it's in your home too. One thing that we don't want to kind of forget, it's really low tech, but it's important, is our privacy cover, right? These things are going to be in, who knows, your living room, on your, wherever you are at home. And of course, privacy is always important, but man, when you're home, it's kind of extra important. So we do, yes, have a little simple privacy cover that goes over the front of that camera if you'd like it as well.
All right, and by the way, it's $1,000, $999. It's not $1,000, it's $999. So you save $1. It's $1,000 and $999 for the whole thing all together. So you basically get your own portable, personal UCC platform. And I can tell you this is going to be big because based on, depends on whose data you believe, somewhere between 30 and 60% of the business world is not going to go back to normal, and approximately somewhere between 30 and 60% of the people that work in that world are going to be working from home at some point in time for some period of time, which means there's going to be a market for a system like this where you don't have to worry about all the speeds and feeds of your laptop. I mean, raise your hand if you have not had your laptop lock up, or you haven't had to reboot your laptop all of a sudden at the last minute because you've got too many applications running at the same time. So let's talk about that for just a second, because one thing that you're you didn't even tell Daniel, I'm going to get to your question. Dan Shatsky's, I'm going to ask him your question in just a second. But one thing you didn't tell them about is a feature that you're debuting here when you did your earlier debut for your customer base that you didn't tell them about is a new slot that you have. Well, I shouldn't say new, a slot that you have that you didn't tell anybody about that you're telling them that you're debuting here today. And that literally makes it a completely standalone product because you have a kind of an OPS slot, but you're using the new type of OPS slot known as SDM. Tell us about that.
That's exactly right, Gary. So yes, there's two ways to get compute and flex together, right? Excuse me. So the first is what we talked about. I got my own laptop. I've got my own compute. Let me connect up with USB-C and I'm out of here. That's my preferred way to get my compute that I brought into this room connected to Flex. The other way that Gary's talking about, back behind Flex, there is an SDM slot, smart data module. It is, as Gary suggested, Intel's newer, smaller form factor, non-proprietary connector type. And we have an Intel SDM slot on every Flex. Flex ships with that spot vacant because there are a large portion of customers that we're talking with that say, look, I've got my own compute. I've got my own laptops. I don't need that SDM slot filled with anything. So keep a plastic cover on it and I'm good to go. Plenty of other customers, there's use cases where, boy, it would really be cool if I had an integrated Intel chipset, high-end Windows device plugged in just like an OPS and an interactive flat panel. Well, that's going to be getting released to the market in Q2 of this year. So we're not releasing all of the details yet. We are announcing that it is real and happening in Q2. Pricing and specific availability are coming out, but it's going to be a very high-end Windows experience that'll be bought a la carte. So we're never, again, we really at Newline, we try never to kind of force you to do anything you don't want to do as a customer. So if you purchase your Flex without, because you've got a connectivity, you've got your laptop ready to be connected, that's a great answer. And if in another room down the hall or in conference rooms that are getting changed over to collaboration hubs that we're talking to more and more enterprise customers about these days, having that SDM slot built in where I'm totally good to go and I can just walk in and with my camera, it's Windows Hello capable. So if I've set up my profile to be me, just like my thumbprint on my laptop, I can walk in front of my Flex, never touch it. It knows it's me, logs me in to my Windows profile. And the cool thing about that, of course, is it's the same chipset. It's just like adding a laptop or another computer to your network. Of course, security and all the concerns that are huge when you bring compute into a discussion, all that goes away because whether it's the laptop that you connect here or the SDM slot getting filled with an equivalent laptop in a small form factor, all of that is owning the security protocols, your antivirus, all of the protocols and processes you have in place to stay safe today. 100% of them apply with Flex, whether or not you bring your laptop or an SDM slot computer.
Okay, so that making an SDM slot computer that works with Windows means that you have like a easy appliance for any of the platforms. And of course, it's native. You can make it a native, literally make it a native Microsoft Teams or a Zoom room as well as a PEXIP room as well as a standalone device, or keep using it as an application inside of Flex itself and still have Flex able to be used for other things in that application. I love that application. Here's why. Let's say you're working from home, right? And your kids have a meeting that they need to attend for school. You still have access to your laptop. They can actually attend and get a much better experience than what they're getting right now taking school from home. There's been a lot of these at-home Zoom rooms and Teams rooms that you go and connect it up to your TV. But the problem with those, let's be honest, the problem with those is this is what you look like on the other end when you're actually using those. Because everyone's TV is mounted higher than looking straight into the camera. So although those do work and give you a better experience on the far side, they're not getting a better experience from you. And in this case, it gives you a dedicated home appliance that can be used for an application like that, where you're not taking up your TV either. You have a dedicated appliance. But I want to ask you one question about that before we jump on to Daniel's question. Why not Android? What about an Android SDM module? Have you thought about that? Because as you know, Teams and Zoom and these other companies are coming out with an Android version of their platform. What do you think? Will we see an Android version?
Well, absolutely we do, Gary. We do. We're going to be bringing out an Android SDM probably Q3. We actually see a little different need for that geographically. We sell around the globe. So a little higher uptake on that over in our APAC region than in the US side. But to answer your question directly, yes, we will have an Android SDM slot. It'll be brought out about a quarter after the Windows SDM. But yes is the answer.
Okay, good. And by the way, for those of you who are not on the Launch platform right now and you're watching this on LinkedIn, you can ask us questions too. We're seeing your questions in the comment area. Marty Raymond asked the question about how much it costs, and that's how we got that question. So if you want to participate as well, just put it in the comments area below this live video, and we will answer your questions as well. All right, so question from Dan Shatsky's is, did Newline end up coming up with a portable carrying case for Flex? Apparently that becomes a big issue because he's not just going to keep it at home. He wants to be able to take it with him to work without buying a second one, but also when he goes on vacation. Do you have some sort of portable carrying case? Have you thought about it?
So a very great question, Dan, and it's okay. Let me answer it directly, then I'll give some background. So in development now, we think we're all smart and have things figured out and what customers really want, and got a lot of positive feedback based on Flex. One of the most prevalent things we were asked outside of the product is, how do I have a cool carrying case to drag this back and forth? Because you don't understand. I'm in my office here and I'm back there, I'm back home, and I don't know when I'm going to be where. So I don't want to use the brown box or black box this thing comes in. So that is in development, and it's based on customer feedback. So it's in development, not out yet. Stay tuned. I don't have a launch date for that, but absolutely we will have a pretty darn cool looking, very functional carrying case for your Flex back and forth. Absolutely.
Yeah, and Daniel writes for us, so I'm quite sure that when that comes out, he'll let everyone know because he'll be interested. I know he's interested in the product. I know he likes the product. And I'm excited that we're kind of debuting this on both LinkedIn Live and on the Launch platform. I'm here in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Chris is actually in Dallas, Texas. He's the president of Newline. So you have the president of Newline, the guy who came up with the idea for this, the guy who made the decision to make it, and the one who's paying for it here with us now. So therefore, you have an opportunity of a lifetime to talk to him and ask him any question you want. You're speaking directly to the guy who made these decisions. He's got a great team behind him, but we're here live. So go ahead and ask questions. Just put your question here to the right in the Q&A section. Of course, you have Amanda online in networking down below the polling. Speaking of polling, take the polls if you're on the Launch platform. If you're not on the Launch platform, you want to join us here on LinkedIn, you go to launch.com, LAVNCH.com. So I'm going to move out of the way, LAVNCH.com. Log in and click on Newline. You'll see us. We're on the live right now. And Louis Mohammed asks, what size is it? What's the size of the screen? And are you going to have different options there? I think it's 27 inches. Is that right?
That's correct, Gary. So this is 27 inches, and we are actively collecting feedback from the market on other sizes. So I would tell you there could be a Flex family coming. Nothing we can announce yet today. Arguments for a little smaller than 27, arguments for a little bigger than 27. Exploring both. So I'm not trying to dance on that answer. We just haven't decided exactly, but I think it is likely Flex would grow into a fairly small SKU number of product family sizes. But yes, Gary, 27 inches. And of course, one thing we haven't touched, how about that for a little bit of a pun? We haven't discussed yet or touched on is the fact that it's touchscreen. Everything Newline does just about is touch. This is a 20 point of touch PCAP, very high performance touchscreen.
So you don't have to just use the pen. It is full touch.
That's correct. That's exactly right. So finger touch, it does come with an active pen, which is kind of cool as well. So this does support Microsoft Pen Protocol. So all of that snip and sketch and
go ahead. It rejects your palm?
Exactly. With palm rejection, that's critical because there are times that you need to be very precise in your writing, and none of us were trained to write like this, right? We rest our hand on it. So yes, palm rejection is included in the PCAP solution we have for touch. So it's a very high performance, very responsive touch solution as well. So really all three of the UC components are wrapped around that high performance touchscreen.
I'm just curious, what's the application for 20 points of touch? I know that's kind of a facetious question, but
no, it's funny actually, Gary. It's a really right question. Okay, and the true use case is there's not a whole heck of a lot of use cases for it. I'll tell you what. Really, there's a little bit. If you want to know the truth, I believe at least there's a little bit of a spec war in the interactive world, and now basically all of our drivers are supporting 20 points or more. But yeah, do I think we're going to have 20 pens annotating on an architectural plan on Flex? Well, probably not.
Flex, yes.
Probably not. So it's a little bit more of just that's what you get. It'll be as many points of touch as you need. And if you need 20, we're good to go, ready to support you. But you're right, more than you need.
Yeah, 20 is better than 10. I remember when the bike industry went through that as well. It went from 10 speed to 12 speed to 13 speed to 16 speed, 17, now 20 speed. So yes, that happens in all industries, not just technology. Daniel Castrovini, Vinci, hopefully I pronounced that right, asked the question, will you have the ability to have smart switch between the SDM and the C connection, the USB-C connection, such that when I disconnect my laptop, it automatically connect my laptop back, switches back to my laptop as an input?
Yes, the answer is yes. So smart switching is embedded in the capabilities of Flex. So yes, you can hot swap in so if you had an SDM, to make sure everybody understands, if there was an SDM computer here and I didn't have this laptop connected, when I connect it up, Flex is going to recognize that hot source coming in and going to switch to it. So yes, smart switching is embedded.
All right, so Amanda and Ty, who are on here as well, I want you to put in in networking below in the all attendees group a link to the Flex on your website. But Chris, what's the URL?
So URL for Newline? I just want to make sure I'm giving you what you're asking for, Gary.
Well, if you know both of them, great. We can start with Newline. How's that?
Sure. So Newline-interactive.com is how you find us on the World Wide Web. The actual Flex one, I'm going to have to default to Amanda sending that. I don't remember it offhand. I apologize. I probably should have that committed, but I don't.
I know it, Chris.
Say again, Gary?
I know it. Can you believe that? I know it.
Then all the better.
Okay, there you go. It's newline-interactive.com/USA/product/flex desktop-collaboration.
See, I thought I had that, but I might have missed a slash or two. So thank you.
There you go. Or you can click on a link that was just posted inside of networking. I want to encourage our production team to post that inside of LinkedIn, so the people that are on LinkedIn can ask any questions. So I've got some more questions. You got time to hang out here, Chris, and answer some more questions?
At your service.
Myself, but I have some more questions coming online.
Sure.
Okay. So a question from, let's see, I'm flipping through the different ones that I have here. Make sure I don't ask the same questions, right? Marshall Miller says, is the product sold direct or through dealers? First off, how can they get the product?
You bet. So through the direct answer, through dealers. We are a full channel model company. So your favorite AV or IT reseller would probably be an authorized dealer of Newline. So that's how you would go about getting the product. And we have a pretty wide channel base. So probably your favorite AV guy is an authorized Newline dealer.
Yeah, and any of the companies that we partner with for launch and learns and things like this are companies that sell through the channel. So we're definitely supporting the channel. And then can I use the pen? Can the pen be used on the edge computer as well?
On the edge, okay. I think the SDM, when we're saying edge, I believe we're talking SDM. I think is you read that.
I think I want to answer it both ways. If you on the SDM, but also let's say you had a tablet, a Microsoft tablet, could you take your pen and use it on the tablet so you're using one pen for both?
The answer is yes. That's the kind of the cool part of so when this supports Microsoft Pen Protocol, MPP is the little acronym for that. Yes, anything that is demanding of a pen needing Microsoft Pen Protocol, this will work. So yes, on your Surface or anything else that's MPP enabled, this stylus would work for that. Yes.
Okay, perfect. This is a long question, okay? So, and this comes from AVI Trainer, who asked some really good questions at all the events that we have. Is it possible to use the HDMI as an output to a secondary display to extend the workspace area or show different content? I'm looking at what else is possible once the Windows box is added, or the Windows SDM is added, to the smart slot. So it can be more of an all-in-one from the Flex starting point, meaning it could literally be a starting point for even a room system.
Absolutely. So the SDM itself is going to have an HDMI out on that. So the answer is yes. When you have that Windows SDM installed, there's a number of inputs and outputs that are embedded inside the Flex and a number that are not, that are externally visible to connect stuff to. And HDMI out is going to be one of them. So the one word answer is yes.
Yeah, one of the questions came in as to why not put a full PTZ on there, and the answer is you're close to it. You're not sitting far away from it. I've got a PTZ here, but I'm 5 feet away from it. So it makes sense to have it. But secondarily, it would drive the cost up. Find me a PTZ that's any good, that's less than a few $100s. Even the ones that are, monitoring your cats and dogs at home that are 1080 are in the range of $100. So now we want to go up to 4K, and we want to then go into having glass optics and some of the features that you need to have for the quality calls that we're talking about doing here. You're going to drive the cost up. But the question is, can you add that as an accessory? Do you have USB, and can I add a better microphone if I wanted to use it as also a room system, put a mic bar up, or could I also add a separate PTZ, or maybe have a 2-camera option for in the case of a Flex that's being used in a room where it's one-on-one, but the room is also used as a large conference room?
So the answer there would be yes again, and here's how that would happen. So either with my laptop, with other USB connectivity to get to my mic bar, or my second PTZ camera that's already mounted in the room I happen to be in, or off the SDM. So yes, off of the compute device, you could connect up anything else USB capable.
It seems like you've really thought about everything here. I'm really impressed with this. How much does the product weigh, Chris?
Oh, boy. Oh, my gosh. I should remember that. Marketing guys, can you bail me out on this one? It's not.
They can type that up. And
yeah, they can type that in. I forgot the weight, Gary. I apologize. I should know that one off the top of my head as well. I can tell you just from a qualitative standpoint. Oh, sorry,
22.7 pounds.
Thought it was a little over 20. It's heavy. It feels very, that's kind of a qualitative statement, but feels very high quality, but it's also not, you don't have to be a bodybuilder to get this thing, in your car to take it back to the office or back home.
Yeah. It doesn't fold though, right? It's not one of these foldable displays or anything like that.
Correct. The least foldable, I guess the most foldability, I guess would be the way to say it, is what you see now. The kickstand back where there's a 10-degree angle on the face. So it can go, of course, much further back, and there you go on the side screen, you see that recline. But yes, this is as folded, I guess, as you would have it.
Does that camera pop off and pop back on to protect it from getting popped and broken off?
The answer is yes, and actually this one is okay. Yes is the answer to the question. Also, it has 2 security screws, which this one has screwed in right now, or I would take it off for you right now on the call. On our launch show that we did a couple of weeks back, you probably saw that where we did that. But yes, so it can be secured as it is here, but also can pop off and be reversible. We have had feedback from users that say, sure, I want it to be on me plenty of times, but there's times I don't. I might want it to be on my other screen or a whiteboard that I'm teaching or making notes on. So it's reversible, so it can face you or face out and then be removed. Okay.
Thank you. From LinkedIn Live, we have a question that Gary K wants the answer to. And this is Jeevan Varghese, who happens to be the Director of Network and UCC Engineering at LinkedIn. Okay, so he works for LinkedIn. He's watching this live on LinkedIn. Thank you. Speak to compatibility of Mac computers. I'm a Mac guy. Tell me, please feed me, Chris. What are you going to give me? How to speak to compatibility with Mac? I recognize we got some touch issues with Mac, but I want to know what can I do? Can I use this with a Mac computer?
The answer is yes, you can use it with a Mac computer, and yes, you will have a single point of touch with your Mac computer. All right, so the 20 points of touch. That's a little bit of a challenge with the Mac, but you would have the ability to touch. So obviously, the audio visual, all the UC platform, of course, is going to work. It's all USB-C, it's HID drivers. It's very innocuous, normal stuff that works with everything, and that's on purpose. And then the touch, of course, we have an embedded touch driver that enables the Mac Touch to work. So yes, is the one-word answer again. Yes, your Mac will work with Flex.
Excellent. That makes me feel good. And I recognize that with Macs, we have touch issues. But with the new OS, they're saying we're going to get multi-point touch. We're going to get the flexibility to do all this. I'm assuming that you're watching that and you're paying attention to that, and that at some point in time we might see a software upgrade that allows us to do that.
100%. And actually, the cool part of Flex is the hardware is ready to go, right? So what you're buying today does support 20 points of touch. So if any device, whether it's a Mac, also let's say you have a Windows device. Forget Mac for a second. I'm on my Windows device, but I'm using a software that the software is only designed for 4 points of touch, say. Well, guess what? You get 4 points of touch. So the hardware is far more capable, which is a great answer, than whether or not that software you're using adds more capability and moves from 4 to 10 to 20. Or in your case, the Mac OS, same thing. The hardware's ready to go. So once the other portion that's the limiter goes away, you're instantly having access to that. You don't say, geez, I wish I had the new Flex because the old one didn't do that. The hardware's ready to go.
All right, so here's the deal. People looking at me, looking down. I got to grab my tablet here. I'm going to ask you the question about compatibility with an iPad in just a second. I got my phone here where I'm getting messages, but I also have my watch. No, I'm not checking the time. I'm checking. I got a giant clock right in front of me. So I'm getting messages in all different places. So if you type a message to me here in the Q&A, you type it on LinkedIn, you type it in the comments, you type it in networking, we're going to see that message. But I'm going to ask the production team to show a sizzle reel, I would call it, a video that you made to introduce Flex to the market, just because I think now we've set it up pretty well. I want them to see this like 1-minute pitch on the product. So Chris, are you okay if we flip to that?
Absolutely, Gary.
All right, let's check it out. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Chris, give Amanda a raise for picking the music. The music alone is what I like it for. That's a great job. That's a movie trailer right there. I love it. I think it's very well produced. Matt,
thank you.
Is it compatible with my iPad? When am I going to get a system where I can use it with an iPad? I'm frustrated that I can make a Zoom call on my iPad, but I can't connect it outside the ecosystem of the iPad. It's got USB-C on it. Can we do it?
Yes. So the answer is with USB-C, yes. You can mirror that iPad onto your Flex. So yes, you can be walking down the hall at home, starting your Zoom call that you were a little late to get to the kitchen table or your dresser or wherever your home office is you're working from, and then yes, you can mirror right over to Flex. So yes, that USB-C connectivity is going to be supported with the iPad.
We're making Jeevan over at LinkedIn happy because he's part of that Apple ecosystem along with me. All right, so then I start my call from my iPhone. It's 12:12, by the way. Start my phone call from my iPhone. All right, and then I want to move it over to Flex. Do we have the ability to do that? Lightning to USB-C? What do you think?
So yes, Lightning to USB-C. So either with an adapter or a cable that's designed to take Lightning to USB-C. So either way, yes, you need the cabling to do that. There's a couple of ways to get that done, but the answer is with the right cabling, yes.
Okay, yeah, and I think the key there is making sure your Lightning to USB cable has the ability to handle the video. Not all Lightning to USB-C cables are. Some of them are just simply charging cables. The best way to know is if it seems flimsy, it's not ever going to do video. If it seems expensive and thick, it's probably going to do video.
Gary, that's a great point.
The technical answer there. I've had a lot of people, even in our own office, where I've made the mistake of finding a USB to C to USB-C cable and thinking I'm going to connect up to a monitor. It's not working. I'm like, why is this not working? It's not a thick enough cable. We need the thick cable to make sure it connects up to the monitor. So yeah.
No, Gary, that's totally correct. And I think there's folks on the call that, like me, when I first had access to USB-C, I thought, well, USB-C does everything. Well, USB-C can do everything, but if your laptop is designed like my first one was to only charge through it, well, yeah. Okay, that's all you get. So it really, your point is very correct. It's you've got to know a little bit more about your own USB-C and don't make the assumption I made that all of them do everything, because that's actually correct. It's not the case.
All right. I got another question for you here from Lucy again, who's participating on the LAVNCH platform. And I, like Lucy, often type questions so quickly that I leave off characters so I'm having a hard time totally deciphering this, Lucy. So I'm going to try to make sure I get this right. Can we say it's a full computer with the SDM slot? And if it is, what size of a hard drive would it ultimately have in it? And then the second part of the question is, do you have USB 3? I think maybe USB 3 the other way down. I'm not sure if that means is it bidirectional. The answer there is yes. But what size hard drive does the computer have?
So the hard drive, we haven't announced all the specs yet, but give you a little bit of a peek there. The hard drive will be a SSD, of course, probably no surprise there at 512. And then the answer to the first question is yes, period. It's not like a computer. It is. It is a full Windows computer that slides into a slot just like an OPS, if you're familiar with those with interactive flat panels. And then, this screen here for my laptop is not similar. It's identical to this screen here on the Flex. So it is just an overgrown laptop, not similar, exactly like that. And again, that kind of goes back to the security piece. All those protocols and security concerns you've already solved. We're not bringing in a new variant that you have to revalidate everything on. That computer is going to act like every other laptop you bought for a new sales or marketing person this week and you onboarded them. Well, it's going to be just another computer on the network that has the same security protocols that you're used to in your organization.
Exactly. All right. So and Jesus Candiati, who's also joining us on the launch platform, says, I think I know the answer to this, but is it Visa compliant?
Okay. So it's not as straightforward as you might think. In our first iteration, we don't have an embedded Visa platform on the back, or Visa pattern on the back. Sorry. We're already working to address that. That was another one. One of the earlier questions with the carrying case. We were surprised with the number of folks that asked us about that. The next is Visa. We will have Visa capability added to Flex, but in the current iteration right now, the answer is no. It's intended to be desktop or cart supported with some hardware to keep it stable, but Visa's coming.
All right. So for those of you who are joining us on LinkedIn, obviously, if you want to watch this recording, forward this recording over to your friends. You can try to find it on my LinkedIn feed and do that, or you can do it now. You can hit the share button now if you know who you want to share it with. But I do post a lot on LinkedIn, so maybe hard to find. If you want to be able to find a copy of this recording in its native resolution, you can go to launch.com. Okay, so that's spelled LAVNCH.com. All right, click on once you register, click on the on-demand recordings. You'll be able to get a copy of this and you can forward it on to your friends. If you're on the launch platform right now, if you're on LinkedIn, just ask questions in the commenting area of the post. If you're on launch, down below, you'll see networking. That's below the polling. Hopefully you're taking the polls. Down below that, you'll see networking. That's where you can kind of talk. And we have Amanda on live answer. She's a verified Newline user from Newline, and she can answer any of the questions directly. But we do have some other questions coming in. Okay, Chris, you got some more time to answer some of these questions?
I'm here for you, Gary. You betcha.
All right. What are the top target clients for this, and what's the application for Flex? Like, what do you think's the hot applications for Flex? Is it corporate? Is it, work from home people? Where do you think the low hanging fruit is?
Yeah, so that's a simple question, and it can go a lot of areas. So I'll do my best to answer it concisely. Yes, enterprise is turning out to be a very hot market for us because of exactly the things we talked about earlier. As you say, Gary, 30 to 60% of the workforce may never go back to that same cubicle or office 5 days a week like they have the previous 25 years of their life. Man, that's a pretty big wrinkle in life, right? That now I'm working from my kitchen table and I'm kind of sick of USBs all over the place and I'm having a little trouble here. Boy, it would be great if I could afford a UC device that was similar to the one I might have had in my conference room back in my enterprise environment. Well, that's Flex. So for sure, the work from home folks, whether you're large corporate, medium, small, really, we're having demand really come from all parts of corporate. Inside corporate, you can kind of, where does healthcare fit? Does it fit in corporate, fit somewhere else? It's worth talking about by itself. Of course, the explosion of telemedicine, literal explosion of telemedicine going on. We're having a huge influx of demand for Flex in a telehealth world. For obvious reasons, we can go in and talk about that vertical a little more if you want. And then education. We foresaw, I think, or at least we thought we did, the higher ed side of education being a very kind of hot market for this product. Same story, right? Professor, are they going to be in their classroom on Tuesday? They're going to be back at home in their apartment or house on Wednesday. And how do we give a high level of engagement and education really to our students that are paying big money to come here and are already maybe a little frustrated because they, can't do a lot of the things they thought they could do when they chose to come here. So I think we saw that one. I don't know that we really appreciated the K-12 education vertical heat, but there is quite a bit of early heat from our K-12 education partners as well. That the idea that a couple of years ago you would have laptops or Chromebooks or some kind of device that students or teachers could check out if they couldn't be in the building that day is already kind of not a foreign concept. Well, taking this again for the same reasons really that higher ed is interested, K-12 has been somewhat surprising to me in the amount of heat that they're showing for this product as well. So I kind of summarized all the major verticals, and so I'm trying to answer it as directly as I can, but we really are seeing quite a bit of interest because the pandemic, it's one of these rare things, right? Nothing affects everybody. Well, okay, right. Except this. This truly does affect K-12 educators, people working from home, learning from home. And so really that's drug us into really all the major verticals.
Yeah, I agree with you. And so if you're an integrator on here and you're wanting Newline to supply everything for you and all the applications, they're not going to do that. Let me give you an example, because they're going to provide you the hardware, but you got to provide the extra services that are going to make it a winning combination. I'll give you an example. You have seen these advertised every day on television now, especially if you're watching channels like me, Bravo. I see ads on there all the time for telemedicine. In fact, most states have now approved telemedicine applications, not only to be HIPAA compliant, but also to be paid for by your insurance company, right? The insurance companies have adopted it too because of what happened with COVID. So the question of is it HIPAA compliant is not the right question to answer, because of course it can be made HIPAA compliant. It's up to you as an integrator to add that HIPAA compliance to the product by configuring the PC in a way that makes it HIPAA compliant. So think about this. Think about how much money doctors have and how much money hospitals have. And to be able to say that here's a HIPAA compliant device that you put in your house that allows you, when you go home, to provide telemedicine services, or when you're on vacation, be a provider of telemedicine services. This is a great application for a product like that. So I think there's an example where you can integrate it and think of new markets that did not exist prior to COVID with a product like this. Could you do that with a laptop? Yes, but this is a purpose-built appliance. So the nice thing about this is you could still use your laptop, not have to worry about it being HIPAA compliant all the time, which is a problem, because if you're using something like that in a HIPAA compliant application, you have to reboot it every time into a different mode or connect through a VPN and then use the software off the VPN. This allows you to do it as a standalone appliance. As one example. The school idea of checking them out, I think, is going to be big, because there's going to be access issues with kids, and where we now need to have access for everybody, which brings me to my next question. Have you thought about adding data connectivity to it as opposed to waiting for the computer to do that? Like, why not go ahead and add data connectivity to it inside the heart of the product itself, Chris?
So exploring that, Gary, very good question. Know where it's coming from. Don't have any answers yet. Okay. So exploring that, the piece that we believe we have to maintain is for whether we're talking to our reselling partners or end users that are looking at this product. If we introduce a new security wrinkle, we think, oh boy, things just really slowed down a lot. Of course, there's a feature there that's really kind of cool. If we can do it in a way that we can look people in the eye and say, you have no more risk than you had yesterday, I'm very intrigued by that. If it comes with a modicum of more risk, I think we're probably going to keep it to relegated to the computer, either the computer, your laptop, or that SDM slot, just because we think that's such a key part of it for folks to know in their gut. This is safe today. We don't have to put it through 6 months of security sniffing and hope that it's okay. I need this product now. So that's where I'd probably come down on that.
All right, so we're going to have to do rapid fire questions, Chris, because I only have 6 minutes left.
Of course, happy.
I have to cough. So let's do rapid fire questions. I want you to answer these quickly, because I want to make sure everyone gets their questions answered.
Absolutely.
Remember, the recording of this will be made available after this. All you have to do is go back to where you are right now if you're on Launch. If you're not on Launch, go to launch.com, LAVNCH.com, and log in. AVI Trainer says, great. So it sounds like the internal mic array can be disabled in favor of an external mic. Does the line in only have plug-in power?
Does the line in?
Does the mic in have only, if I'm going to use an external mic, right? And now I'm powering it from my laptop. Do I need to have the mic powered separately, or can it be powered through USB-C if it's a USB-C device?
The USB-C device, if power is present, yes.
Okay. Is the audio level consumer or professional? Like, what are you speccing the audio at? I guess that you can find that on the spec sheet online. Do you know that off the top of your head?
So, okay, that one, I think there's a little qualitative. I got to be quick. Very close. It's not consumer. I would say much closer to pro, but there's a qualitative piece there. I don't want to talk 3 minutes of our 6 on that. The spec sheet can talk about 15 watts of power on 2 speakers, very high performance speakers. So much closer to pro than consumer.
Yeah, that's much better than you get off a television.
Absolutely.
In your house. Is there a recommended interface box to connect balance audio to reduce the possibility of line noise interface? So now I understand where that question's coming from. When you're routing the audio through your device from the mics in your device, then connecting it to an external source. That's where that's coming from. Is there?
So we don't have a particular box we would recommend there. So where I typically go back when I don't have a specific answer there is, what are you doing today when you have some other compute device, whether it's an OPS, a small form factor that you're bringing into whatever design you're designing? The same situation should work here. So I hope I'm getting that as directly as I can without probably answering it perfectly.
Yeah, I think the answer is, like, if you're connecting up a computer using USB-C into a room, what would you do? And I think that's the answer to that. AVI
much better said. Much better said.
AVI, and I think that's the value of an integrator. That's why you need an integrator for these things. AVI Trainer says, how well does it work with external control systems like Crestron, Lutron, AMX, Extron, et cetera, as well as external devices like keyboards, mouse, mice, and Stream Deck, things like that? So is it I guess the answer is, since it's using the computer, it's going to work exactly the same way as it would if you're using a regular computer. But what about the control system interface side of it? Have you thought about 232 IR? Have you thought about AV over IP? Have you thought about IP control, those kinds of things?
So the answer is yes, we have. And so far, there's no RS-232 support for this type of device right now. And we're listening to the market right now on that. We think the end result is, again, if we stick to the compute being the brains of the operation, probably we won't add RS-232, but we're listening to the market on that now. So current version of Flex does not have 232 support. Future, it could. We're listening to the market to see what everybody's going to guide us on that.
And do you have an antimicrobial, Garrett Kayye asks if there's an antimicrobial surface on the touch surface, or have you thought about it?
Okay, on this iteration of Flex, there is not an antimicrobial coating. That it does not come with that.
And it makes sense. It would make sense normally to say you don't need it because it's a personal UCC device you think one person is going to use, but in the applications that you've mentioned about using it in a room as to expand a room application, I think it makes sense. So it's something to think about.
Without question. And I can tell you broadly, antimicrobial coatings are in Newline's not too distant roadmap.
Yeah, and remember, those can be added third party as well.
Correct.
Now, I will say that product was introduced yesterday from Poly. I challenged them on that because they said it was a spec in one of their new products. I challenged them on it, and they came back and agreed that it is not antimicrobial from the standpoint of COVID. So this is not antiviral by any means. It's traditional antimicrobial.
Right.
Let's see. AVI Trainer says, does it support wide-eye connectivity as far as wireless?
So compute. So with the SDM or off of your, now I know I don't mean to be a broken record, but it is that would come from the compute, whether that's a laptop or the SDM module. And
somebody wants to know, what am I watching on Bravo? Below Deck. Of course. If you haven't seen the show Below Deck, you need to watch the show Below Deck. Lucy Mohammeday says, what about Bluetooth connectivity to connect the Flex to a laptop or smartphone? That's a great question, because what if I want to use an external mic for some reason, or what if I want to use it to play music? I mean, both directions. You have Bluetooth connectivity. I guess I know the answer is yes for the computer, but what is about a standalone device? So standalone device doesn't have Bluetooth capability embedded today. Yeah, there's a company called Satachi, S-A-T-A-C-H-I, that has a little external Bluetooth adapter. It takes any 3.5 millimeter, makes it Bluetooth compatible, which is like $30, and I carry one with me when I travel. So it's something you might want to consider there. Love it. Another question from LinkedIn Live. Oops, a positive comment. Sorry, my Siri thinks I'm talking to her. Positive comment from LinkedIn Live from Andrew Polellan. Let me see this. Andrew Polna. I'm going to try that, see if that works. All right. When K through 12 has a mix of distance learning as well as in-person, this solution seems like a perfect fit. Okay, that's excellent. Thank you, Andrew. AVI Trainer says, is there a list of recommended accessories to go with Flex yet? This could include anything from mounts to cables to HUI to USB-C to cleaning products for COVID compliance, things like that. I assume that'll appear in a FAQ one day.
That's coming. No, great point. I don't want to say thinking right, thinking like we are. So we haven't published that, but yes, we're building out a suite, a little infrastructure around Flex that will roll out at some point. So not publicly yet, but we're walking that direction.
Well, I want to thank you, Chris, for joining me. I'm totally excited that this lasted an hour because we were worried about your power. We weren't sure if we were going to actually be able to pull this off. We had California standing by to jump in. We got through the entire thing. The only thing that happened during the entire thing that threw us off was your screen behind you, your interactive Newline display behind you turned off halfway through. And what that does is show it's energy compliant.
Energy Star, that's right.
You secretly told us that you are Energy Star compliant through that methodology there.
Extra feature.
The Flex Energy Star?
I'm sorry?
Is the Flex Energy Star compliant as well?
Yes.
There you go. What a great way to end the day. I want to thank everyone for joining us again. If you want to watch this, we are going to archive this on the site in a couple of hours. Just come back to the site. You can forward it on to anyone and everyone. They just got to go to launch.com, register, and they can watch the content for free. If you're watching us from LinkedIn, thanks for joining us live. I'm going to end this with, I am going to do an unboxing of a Flex, and I'll post that on my LinkedIn page once I get it done. And I'm going to do it in real time so you can see how long it takes to take one out, set it up, and start using it. So, Chris, thank you very much for your time and attention today. Thanks for joining us for this special edition of the Newline Flex launch and introduction. And I'm going to take it out from here. So y'all have a great day.
Thanks, Gary.